Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Unscripted and Unchained RPG Review. I am Game Master Bloodworth, and as you can see by the graphics, today I'm going to be taking my first look at DC20 RPG. It is currently in a Kickstarter, and I'm going to be more specifically looking at the playtest rules. Now, I'm not going to go through the entire thing because, believe it or not, the free playtest rules is still like 153 pages long. But this is something that I have backed, and and I've become very limited in what game systems I'm going to pick up. Especially from Kickstarter. I started using a new metric in my buying that I want to see something that is already being played in the wild, as I call it. So something that I see getting a lot of gameplay at conventions. But another part of that I'm always looking for is I'm not looking for something that is a straight up retro clone of old school D&D, and I'm certainly not looking for anything that is that is nothing more than a homebrew of 5e. I'm looking for something that is a little bit different from both. And so when I looked this over and I watched that intro video that's on Kickstarter for it, I was like, well, you know what? At the price cost of $65 for the hardcover and the PDF, it's certainly something that, if it does just reside on my shelf and I actually never run it, I think that there's enough innovation, enough difference in it, that it is still something that is welcome to be on my bookshelf. Now, I have no connection and really no real familiarity with the Dungeon Coach. I don't even think I follow his channel, or certainly not subscribed or anything like that. I've never followed his stuff. So this is my first exposure to him as a creator, and it's my first look at the playtest rules because I haven't started actually digging into it. I just backed it last night, and I just picked up the free playtest rules, which is 150 some odd pages long. So I'm certainly not going to put my breathing to the test tonight and going through it, because I'd like to get my game going tonight, my game session going in about 3 hours. So I'm going to try to keep this fairly limited and and give you a nice overview of it so far. So here we go. I'm going to jump right in. So first thing I left here for you to see is that the Kickstarter is just about 3 days old now, and it is practically at $1 million. So this is going to keep on flying. I think that this will most likely hit the 2 million mark, at the very least hit the 2 million mark. Might even go bigger than that. So I can't show you the video because there's going to be music, and then you get the copyright strike. So instead of, or they, not the strike, but they'll take some of the monetization. They'll share it. So let's shift over to the rules themselves, and I'll make sure that you are looking at the same thing that I am. And so I will expand this a little bit. And so this is the playtest rules preview. I'm fairly certain that playtesting is probably done, so I'm coming a little bit late to this. So welcome to DC20, DC20, sorry, playtest rules. There's an overview video. I wonder if that's embedded into this. That would be interesting. Support. And then the Kickstarter, so they're talking about this here. Attributes and prime modifier. So you only have 4 attributes here. So you have might, agility, charisma, and intelligence. And based on the video, he was saying that they're not tied specifically to character classes, so you can have a barbarian that is an intelligent barbarian, or a thief that is a thief with the highest might attribute for them. So there's a lot more flexibility in this as well. You have your starting attributes, and we'll see what that looks like. Standard array, point by, or roll method. So we'll take a little bit of a look at that. Attribute limits, and the prime modifier value and the prime modifier sidebar. So maybe I'll just take a look at the first couple of pages of this, and then I'll go into future videos going into more detail. So let's see how it is different. Looking at, let's see their classes very quickly. So barbarian, bard, cleric, druid, fighter, monk, ranger, rogue, sorcerer, warlock, wizard. I know a lot of systems are starting to look at, combining all of the magic user types into like one category and having these others as schools. And I kind of preferred that, actually. Doing the same thing with like, combining fighters, rangers, and barbarians into one class category as well. Usually you'll see clerics and druids lumped into one. Oh, commander. I missed commander in there, which is kind of interesting. So I'll take a look at that in more detail, because that's not something you normally see. So, note from the creator. First off, I just want to say thank you to everyone. Let's see how he describes this game system. I know he uses the term dynamic a lot, right? So there's a Discord that you can go on there. There's a Patreon. There's, of course, the Kickstarter. Let's see, attributes. So attribute of might, again, might, agility, charisma, and intelligence. Starting attributes, you start with an array of 3, 1, 0, -2, and assign each value to an attribute of your choice. So these are modifiers, obviously. So you'll be like a +3, a +1, a 0, and a -2. You gain 2 additional attribute points to increase whatever attributes you want, up to an attribute limit of 3. So, so if you're having another 2 points to add to it, you can you could have 2 3s, a 0, and a -2, or you can wipe out that -2 and have a 0. So you would have a 3, 1, 0, 0, and 0. Point by. You start with -2 in all your attributes, then gain 12 attribute points to increase whatever attributes you want, up to an attribute limit of 3. So that would mean that you would be spending, 8 points to have all zeros. And then that would only leave you another 4 points to have a 3, 1, 0. It's the same thing. So I don't know why you would do the point by instead of just the standard array. So that's kind of weird. Because the standard array gives you the same thing. It'll give you the same outcome. The roll method. You determine your starting values by rolling a d6 -3 4 times, and then assign each value to an attribute of your choice. Then you gain +2 points to increase whichever attribute you want with a limit of 3. So what's your potential? You could roll 4 3s technically, and then kind of lose those 2. The roll method might be your best choice, to be honest with you. Wow, that might be your best choice. The odds are On a D6 minus 3, that could be zeros and then add 2. I don't know. That's an interesting one. I'd have to test that out a few times and see how it comes out. To see, you might end up with somebody with a lot of really good attributes bonuses, or you can end up with a whole bunch of zeros or negatives in that case too, because you could roll multiple negatives. Let's see, prime modifier insurance. If the value of your highest attribute is less than 3, even after adding a +2 attribute points, you can reduce the different. Let's see. Let me read that again. Sorry about that. If the value of your highest attribute is less than 3, even after adding the +2 attribute points, you can reduce a different attribute value by 1 or more to increase your highest attribute by the same amount. You can't reduce an attribute value below -2 or increase an attribute above 3. Yeah, looking at it there and looking at this for the first time, I think the standard array is probably the best one to utilize. I don't see much advantage in the others. Prime modifier sidebar. The prime modifier allows you to create the kind of character you truly want to play without negatively impacting their combat prowess. Since your prime modifier will be used to swing weapons and cast spells, this allows you to choose which attribute you want to be your highest without feeling forced into picking a specific one. An intelligent or charismatic barbarian may not have as much health or be able to grapple or lift as much as a might barbarian, but the ability to wield a weapon is the same. All right, that's kind of interesting. All right, and you could probably explain that through the attribute score, right? So you could have a high intelligence barbarian, and they hit and do as much damage as a might barbarian because they know exactly how to hit. All right, and looking for those weak spots. So you could use that intelligence score in order to do that. You'd have a harder time making that a charisma, rationalization for it, but still kind of interesting. Attribute limit. PC level, your attribute limit is a +3. At level 5, that increases to a +4. At level 10, a +5. At level 15, a +6. And at level 20, a +7. Looking at this, what I think this is going to impose is as you're leveling up and you're going from level 1 through 4, let's say your attribute limit is still +3, any points that you are gaining, and they'll get to this over here when we start looking at that, you're gaining points at level 2, 4, 5, and 7. So 2 and 4, you're gaining +1 attribute point. So you're going to gain 2 points before your attribute modifier goes up to +4. All right, and so you'll gain that other point at 5. So I would think that you would push that 1 point that you gained at level 5 into your +3 attribute right from the get-go, because that's your first opportunity to go to a +4 with that. I will look to see if you can just bank your points, or if you have to use them, along the way, without banking them. Your prime modifier represents, Your prime modifier represents your overall experience, prowess as an adventurer. You use your prime modifier as the primary bonus you add to checks involving attacking, casting a spell, or awareness of dangers around you. Your prime modifier is commonly associated with the following: attack checks made to attack with a weapon or unarmed strike, spell checks, casting spells, saves, save DCs, a, a difficulty of resisting the effects you impose on other creatures, awareness checks, your ability to perceive and detect things around you. DC tip: you're just because the barbarian in the group has high charisma instead of might doesn't mean he's worse at swinging a sword because of it. Prime modifier value: the value of your prime modifier is always equal to the value of your highest attribute. If your highest attribute changes, your prime modifier derives its value from the value of your new highest attribute. Your prime modifier is not an attribute, nor is it considered the attribute that it derives its value from. And then we'll get into skills, traits, and languages in the next video. So I am going to switch views here. Oh, and wow, I came out of that really fast. I'm going to show the character sheet very quickly to you. So 2 character sheets are also free to download from the Kickstarter. And as you can see here, this particular one is form fillable. And your skills here, just looking at it, a 2, a 4, a 6. So these are your modifiers, I guess. A grandmaster would have 10 skills. So 2 is so 2 would be novice, 4 skills, and I haven't gone into the skill system yet, so I'm just trying to glean some information right here from the character sheet. So you put your prime in a separate category from your might, agility, charisma, and intelligence. You have various skills, like awareness is based on your prime. Athletics and intimidation are based on your might. Acrobatics, trickery, and stealth on your agility. Animal influence and insight is from charisma. Intelligence, investigation, medicine, survival. Knowledge, which is a subset of intelligence, arcana, history, nature, occultism, and religion. You have various trades, various languages. So 1 point is limited, 2 points is fluent. Currency. Here is your max stamina points, your max mana points, your max hit points. Physical, mystical defense, physical defense, mystical defense, heavy, brutal, PDR, and MDR. I'll figure that out later and see what those are. Death appears that death threshold equals 0 hit points minus prime. So if your prime is, let's say, a 4, then 0 hit points minus prime, so you would be dead at minus 4. Minus 5 or 6 or 7, whatever the maximum was, would probably be the maximum you could go to 0. Below 0. Movement speed and jump distance. So some pretty interesting stuff there as well. And I'll get much more into detail as we get to it. And so that's a really quick first look at DC20 RPG. I'm going to try to get familiar enough with the name to continue doing that and continue talking about it. But and I fully anticipate it will break the 1 million mark sometime this evening, and see how far this goes. So it still has another 24 days to go, and really interesting. Really interesting. Look at it, and can't wait to get into the skills and the classes and see how they are different from both 5e and Dungeons and Dragons in general, and and maybe perhaps even do some play testing during the summertime. Um, during the time that I'm still looking for other game systems to check out, and maybe do a one shot or something with this system just to see what my gaming group thinks about it. So, thanks for joining. Apologize for some of the interruptions with my coughing and such. Still dealing with some issues. As I said, I'm looking to run my game session, Castles and Crusades, tonight. I'm hoping I can get through that. Then I have a gaming convention tomorrow. I have AutoCon 3 tomorrow, which I'm running Shadow Dark, and I'm playing in a board game later on. So hopefully tonight will be a good indicator of how well I can function through tomorrow's game session. I absolutely will not miss my game session that I'm running at the convention, and hopefully the players do most of the talking, and I can just quietly sit there and referee the action that they're going through. And same thing with the board game that I'm playing. Hopefully I don't have to talk too much, and I can get through the day. And then I should be hearing about what's going on with my respiratory issue sometime either Monday or Tuesday. So I'm hoping to get back to my regular schedule of videos and play sessions by next week. So thanks for joining. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please consider subscribing. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Leave any questions and comments in there. And I look forward to seeing you on a gaming screen or at a convention table sometime soon. You'll have a great rest of your weekend. And as always, thanks for joining. Again, comments. I love comments. Especially if I put up a community post and you have some suggestions for things you want me to do in the near future. I am certainly open to taking your suggestions of content that you want me to cover. So you'll have a great one. Take care. And my image is missing again. XSplit's been a little bit weird lately.